Hey guys, welcome to Blogger Nation United. Welcome to another video, and today is time to start the How to Improve series. It's gonna be a series where I'm gonna talk about the different teams in Europe that need fixing, or that just how to improve them, how to just make them better and have them being able to compete in all fronts, in the league, in the cups, and in the Champions League. And basically, I'm just going to be talking about what the fans need to do, where the vision of the club should be, who should be the manager, if they should change the manager or just put trust in the manager that they currently have, what players need to leave, what players need to go in, and just what other things do the club need to do in order for success to be achieved. And for the first episode, we're going to start with Manchester United, because Manchester United right now are a team that I think is very interesting to look at possibilities, because there's endless possibilities. You could, if you develop a good project with like the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City, Tottenham Hotspur, then you can develop a really good, interesting project. If you develop a project like Manchester United have been doing lately, then you're gonna develop a project that's gonna be set up to failure, because you're not doing things the right way, in my opinion. I think a lot of Manchester United fans can agree with me in that sense. At first, we're going to start with the likes of the manager. And with the manager is interesting because I see a lot of people supporting Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and also people that are not quite fancy about him. And I think that with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the best you're going to get out of him is to maybe get rid of the dead wood in the squad. Like, take the decisions of get the big names that are not, or just get rid of dead wood that you don't need. That's going to be conflictive to another manager to come in, but I don't think he's the man of the project. I don't think that he's going to be able to take Manchester United much more forward, because there's just nothing that indicates that he's able to do it. But if he's given the chance and there's no other managers available, and that would be very weird to me, because there's a lot of managers that are currently available. But if they're not, then keep the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with the mindset that he's gonna be there for one or two seasons, just cleaning the squad for another manager to come in and really start developing a project from scratch. With that said, we're gonna start with the name that I think it's who all Manchester United fans want, but it's probably the one that's the least to happen in this list, and this is Mauricio Pochettino, because Mauricio Pochettino is a fantastic manager. The word with Tottenham Hotspur that he's done, especially this season, all seasons that he's been with Spurs, it's been really good and really interesting to watch. But this season, when you're able to convert Moussa Sissoko into a really good player, that's just a miracle. Like, he's working miracles with no signings, with a really thin squad, and that's a lot of props to do. Like, he's developed Dele Alli, he developed Harry Kane, he improved Eriksen, he improved like even Davinson Sanchez, Trippier, Walker, Danny Rose. Like, he's improved so many players in that squad, and I think that's really interesting to look at. So with his contract being that long and his release clause being that high, I don't think there's such a thing as getting Pochettino out of Tottenham Hotspur in the short term. But if you clean up the squad, maybe in 1, 2, 3 seasons, he could be a really good option for Manchester United to consider if that's where you're going to take the project at. Now, if you're going to take managers that I think can take you forward, that can play the kind of football that Manchester United fans want, which is a very vertical attacking style, like dominant football, then you have a lot of managers that would be really interesting for that. And that I think could be maybe Luciano Spalletti, Inzaghi. Like, you have really good managers in Serie A that are playing good, attractive football, or there are managers that have shown signs of playing really good football. I think Spalletti and Inzaghi, I think Spalletti is going to leave into this season, and Inzaghi is not going to leave Lazio, but could be tempted by the Manchester United job. I think that both of them are really good, interesting systems and could be really good managers because they have a thing about not winning and also winning convincingly at some point of the season, not necessarily the whole season, but some points of the season. Then you have the likes of Pablo Machin, who for a lot of these team build-ups, improvement videos, I'm gonna probably say his name because I think he's a fantastic manager and he doesn't have a job right now, so he's probably the best current available manager in the market that doesn't have a job. He is absolutely fantastic, and I'm saying Pablo Machin and not we knowing that Conte and Mourinho don't have a job. I think Pablo Machin is much more interesting for an attack-minded side. I think that the work that he's done with Girona, with Sevilla at the beginning of the season was really good. I think Pablo Machin just had an unlucky fact of events that things were just not, they were in bad form. They couldn't continue, they couldn't keep going, and the fans and club started blaming it on him, when in reality he did a fantastic job with the squad that he had, a very thin old Sevilla squad that didn't have, he did the most that he could out of that squad, but there's only so much that you can do, and the season starts to hurt and players start to get injured and tired at the end of the season. So I think Pablo Machin could do a lot of good work with that Manchester United side. If he's the kind of manager that I think I will resign, it's not exactly what I think, but he will be a really good shout for Manchester United, and I think that if you give him two seasons, you'll see a real good progress and maybe even challenging for a league at the third season. Then you have the likes of Thomas Tuchel. If he leaves PSG because X problem, it's not out of the possibility. He's gone out of the Champions League. He hasn't won any cups this season, so maybe if he doesn't fancy staying at the club for the next upcoming season, or he could be then in my Manchester United, then that would be really interesting. PSG could go for Mourinho. That is a signing that I see that happening. I can see that happening. I think Thomas Tuchel is, with the work that he's done at Dortmund and Mainz, is being absolutely world class. Like, he's been able to progress those kind of teams, and at the point he's done really good this season with PSG in terms of just play. Before the Champions League, he was playing really good football, and that team was showing signs of just being more like of a team, but that takes time. And I think that the best thing that we should take out of Tuchel is his years at Dortmund, where it was really, really good. His quality, he got the best of the belly, managed to take up Aubameyang, in my opinion, to another level. He developed a lot of the young players. He was playing a lot of intensity and high press, and I think that Thomas Tuchel will be really interesting in Manchester United. Then you have the likes of Massimiliano Allegri. I think Allegri is he's the best possible manager for Manchester United because he is going to go attacking for most of the games against lower opposition, but he knows how to coach the defense. He knows how to not get beaten, especially, and I think that's what Manchester United fans want. They do not care about possession all the time. They just care about winning attackingly. Like, they want to see goals, and they want to see and they want to see a good, solid defense. And I think Massimiliano Allegri is being able to do that. The best years of Juventus, in my opinion, was the ones with, I think everyone remembers that season with Paulo Dybala and Paul Pogba. It was absolutely fantastic. Or maybe that first season of Gonzalo Higuain at Juventus with linking up with Paulo Dybala was really interesting to watch. And I think that Massimiliano Allegri could leave Juventus this season, and his signing could be very attractive for all other clubs that are looking for a manager this coming season. Now, player outs, there's a lot of cleanup to do in that squad. There's a lot of deadwood, a lot of players that could be toxic for the dressing room. And in terms of what you need, I think you need to definitely get rid of Ashley Young, Valencia, one of Jones or Smalling, maybe even both. Marcos Rojo, Darmian, I think Herrera's going to leave with a free. I think that's already confirmed. Alexis Sanchez, you need to get rid of Alexis Sanchez, get rid of his wages, because signing players knowing that Alexis Sanchez hasn't performed this season and he's your highest earner by a lot, it's going to be a problem. Juan Mata. And then you have two players that I'm putting a question mark next to them, and that's Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford. Paul Pogba, because it's been very rumored that he's more likely to start with Madrid next season than stay in Manchester United. And Marcus Rashford, whose contract ends next season, next June. And it's very, difficult to address this, because all the cleanup is like I said, Jan Valencia, like Rojo, Smalling. They're all players that need to go because they're just extra players that are dead within the squad, not contributing anything. They're not young, they're not good in my opinion, any of them. I mean, Alex Sanchez is good, but if you're not going to use him, and I think that he just hasn't done a good job at Manchester United, I think that all of them need to leave. You need to bring in new players, and more especially just put in some time to the project. I think if Pogba's not committed to Manchester United, he should go. If all he's looking is whatever Galactico signing, then sure, let him go. There's more players in the world than Paul Pogba. Manchester United exists to be for Paul Pogba, and so did every other club. So there is no reason to have a player that doesn't want to be there in your club. On Marcus Rashford, there's rumors that he could leave for Barcelona. He could maybe go for, I don't know, any other club in the world. If you don't manage your time up in a contract, then you probably need to look at replacement for Rashford. But in my opinion, just time up in a new contract. He's a Manchester boy. He's a fan favorite at Old Trafford, and I think that letting him go would be a mistake. Then you have the likes of Milan Skriniar, Koulibaly, Andersen, Varane, Ruben Diaz for the new signings that I think you need to make. All of them are center backs, or at least all of these are center backs. There is 5 options at center back. I think that depends on how much money you have and how much are you willing to spend in all the other transfers. I'm making this as realistic as possible by what you've been linked consistently, what I think is actually available to happen, and it's been confirmed this morning that Milan Skriniar has signed a new deal with Inter to stay until 2023 from 2022. So he has 1 more year contract, but I think that we've seen this happen. Players just get a new contract to get either a high release clause or just try to retain another club. But I think that Milan Skriniar could be just like signed for Manchester United still, because although it's unlikely, he's only getting paid 3 million a year. And I think 3 million a year for one of the best center backs in Europe, it's an absolute easy steal. I think that I think some players in Manchester United already, like Joe Smalling and Rojo, I'm sure, I don't know, but I'm sure that they're earning more than 3 million a season. So I would put Milan Skriniar as my top target if possible, because he's young and he's already as good probably as all the other center backs in this list, or even better than some of them. Then you have Kalidou Koulibaly. Koulibaly this season and last season has been especially performing at a really high level. He's been world class, but he is at an age where I don't think that he is going to, improve so much. Like you're gonna get max out of him 4 seasons, and I think that you should be looking for an under 25 player that you can get an era out of him, that he can still grow, that he still has potential to grow, but that he's going to perform straight away. I think Kalidou Koulibaly for his price is not worth it. I don't think that you should sign Koulibaly for 4 seasons for 100 million in a center back position. But if there are no other options left and you have the money, then go ahead and sign Kalidou Koulibaly. He is being really good, and he would probably command that defense in the way that all these other defenders would. Then you have Rafael Varane. Rafael Varane is a center back that right now his time in Madrid is dodgy. I think that with Zidane coming in, Varane could stay in Madrid, but there's been a lot of rumors that he could go to another super club in Europe, Liverpool, Manchester City, United, Juventus, like all the big clubs in Europe are looking to get Varane services if available. And I think Manchester United should be any different, because under regular conditions, Rafael Varane, in my opinion, is tied with 3 players for the best center back in the world in normal conditions. All of them, that would be Umtiti, Varane, and Milan Skriniar. I think that all of them in normal conditions are the best center backs in the world. I think that they're at a higher level than Van Dijk at their peak, at like their peakest level. But then you have the likes of Joachim Andersen and Ruben Dias, who are both going to cost you around 50 million euros. I think that those will be good signings for Manchester United. They've shown really good things in their separate leagues. Of course, Andersen has performed at a much better league in Sampdoria, but Ruben Dias, he has been having Champions League experience. I'm not sure if he coincided the same time that Lindelof was at Benfica, but maybe they could build a partnership there, and it would be really interesting. They're both just really good center backs, and bring them in and having then a center back partnership of Lindelof, Bailey, Ruben Dias, or Andersen, Varane, Koulibaly, Skriniar, one of them, and then you have the likes of Axel Tuanzebe coming from loan, or you have one of Smalling or Jones that you keep. That would be enough for me to get all your center backs options covered, and it will be just really interesting to watch next season. Then you have the right back position. I think that's only one option, and that's Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think that his season with Palace has been one of the best, just explosive seasons that he's had. He's coming to the scene at a really high level. There's not much to say. He competed with Trent Alexander-Arnold for the best English right back in the world. He's competing this season for one of the best right back performances this season. And I think if he'd have been playing in a club that was playing Champions League football, he could have maybe competed on true all fronts in Europe for the best right back in the world this season. Then you have your options in centre defensive midfield. I think centre defensive midfield, you have 2 options. That is Adrien Rabiot and Ruben Neves. Adrien Rabiot is gonna be leaving on a free this season for PSG, and I think that with Herrera leaving, you can have him cover both the centre midfield position and the defensive midfield position, and then you can rotate with Matic, and then you can rotate Tuanzebe and Timothy Fosu-Mensah, and with those 4 options, they will be absolutely enough to cover for Manchester United in defensive midfield. And you're allowed to play double pivots because, like I said, Rabiot has good total defensive numbers and creative numbers. The same thing goes with Ruben Neves. Could play both in midfield or in defensive midfield. It will be really good because this season with Wolves, he has just shown that he's Premier League quality. Definitely, he's been really good in midfield with John Moutinho, with Dendoncker. Some of the time that he's played there, it's just been a lot of quality to watch. His deep progressions per game are really, really good and really interesting to watch, and that's what I think that you should be going for in defensive midfield. Then you have the likes of, you just need a center midfielder, one to replace Pogba, who I'm gonna put one name out there that I think, or 2 names that are more likely to replace Paul Pogba, or they can play alongside Paul Pogba, and that is Bruno Fernandes and Jose Maguire. I think it's for what I think Barcelona should be going for. There is the 5 best potential players that they could play the Barcelona way, like keep possession or just have really good touch of the ball and could give you a lot of creativity from midfield, and that is Arthur, De Jong, Giovanni Lo Celso, Ricky Puig, and Jose Maguire. And I think Jose Maguire for Manchester United he's ready to play in the Premier League because he has a lot of good defensive numbers this season. He's created a lot from midfield in Lyon this season, and I think that he'll be really good. Bruno Fernandes has added goals to his game this season. He was already having really good numbers, progressive numbers, creative numbers at Sampdoria when he was in Serie A, and he's continuing to have them at Sporting this season. I think that for the 50 to 60 million that Manchester United want to sign him for, he will be a really good signing to play alongside Paul Pogba or start playing with Paul Pogba. and he could be your marquee signing in midfield this season. Now, you have the position of Fred, who is going to be decided on whether you're keeping Fred or you're letting Fred go. I think that you should keep Fred. There is other players in midfield that you should get rid of before Fred. I think that it's not a player's fault if they are trying and they're not bad. They're not bad all of a sudden just because they came to the club. They're either performing bad because they're not trying hard enough, they're not being professional, they're being unlucky, or you're just using them the wrong way. And I think he's being used the wrong way. I don't think that Manchester United side is able to get the most out of any player. I think that Fred has shown good things this season, and I think that Fred should stay at Manchester United for another season because you already have him, and I think that you're gonna get less money out of him than what you bought him for. So you should keep him, but in the sense that you're gonna be like selling Fred and getting rid of him. A good replacement would be Tanguy Ndombele and Donny van de Beek. Donny van de Beek it's been really good. Again, good in the high press. A good player to come from behind in midfield and score you can get you a lot of goals from midfield. It'll be really interesting. Tanguy Ndombele is like a Paul Pogba with less creative numbers, but with a bigger defensive output. Would be really good alongside Aouar, Van de Beek, Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, and I think that would be really interesting for Manchester United. Then you have the right winger of Jadon Sancho. I think that Jadon Sancho is a player that is just perfect for what Manchester United need. He could play up top with Rashford, Martial, or maybe Rashford, Martial, or Lukaku. Between all of those, you can make really good things of Jadon Sancho. Like, there's other options in the market, definitely. There's other good options, but I think for a price of 100 million, he's English. He would fulfill the English quota. He wants to return to England apparently, and I think that he would be a superb signing for Manchester United. He will solve your right wing problems for at least a decade. You know that he's gonna be really good if nothing weird happens. And with that said, there is the Joker signing that I want to throw in, and that is bring back Memphis Depay. Because I think Memphis Depay, he's shown that he has the quality, and he did not succeed at Manchester United, in my opinion, because you had a project that wasn't suited for him. You had him with Louis van Gaal, who I don't think was the right manager to be with, like, to develop him. Like, he's not. I think Louis van Gaal decreasing his ability to properly coach a team, and I think that he was not suited enough to coach Manchester United to what he needs. But if you bring a manager that's going to put the trust in him, that's going to be able to rotate him, and you're going to have a really long season with 4 competitions to compete, then I think Memphis Depay would be a fantastic option. So with all that said, that's all the signings. I think that I'm going to talk about now one of the most important things you also need to do, and that is you need to give them patience, because Manchester United now are going to have to compete with Manchester City, with Liverpool, and also with Tottenham Hotspur, because I think they're developing a project. They are competing for, well, Tottenham Hotspur is not competing on all fronts, but they're competing at the highest level possible. They already have projects in mind that they started a long time ago, and they're way ahead of you. So if things don't go on properly in 1 or 2 seasons, I think as long as you can compete well and reach the Champions League, you should be fine. But you need to think that you're competing in the top 6, and you're a team that hasn't have a project, and is just beginning a project now. So that you need time, you need patience, and Manchester United fans need to be able to know the difference between winning now and being able to sustain a win for next years to come. Now I'm going to end the video with the likes of the starting 11 that I think Manchester United should be aspiring for between this season and next season. I think your starting 11 should be David De Gea in net. Your fullback should be Adam Wan-Bissaka with Luke Shaw. Your centre-back partnership should be the likes of Kalidou Koulibaly and Victor Lindelof. Your midfield should be Adrien Rabiot, Paul Pogba, and Tanguy Ndombele. And your forward line should be Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, and Jadon Sancho. I think with rotations of the likes of Fred, Matic, Lukaku, Depay, you have the likes of Bay, you have good rotations, good options to play some really good football and develop the youngsters, use the youngsters and the academy players that I know that's what all Manchester United fans want. I think you can have relative success and then really compete for the Premier League and the Champions League in a few years to come. So with all that said, leave me your comments in the comment section below. Do you think it's a good project? What things will you change? What other things do you think need to be added? And leave it in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one, Blaugrana.
So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees with